Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video on the Spigot series. In this video I'll be teaching you about configuration. Alright guys, welcome back. In the last video we learned about permissions and how to apply permissions to commands and use permissions within your plugins. In this video I'll be teaching you guys how to create a config.yml for your plugin and how to access that within your plugin and also set the values within your plugin, okay? So if you're not familiar with what a config.yml is, if you've ever worked with plugins before, basically you install a plugin onto your server, and then when you run the server, when the plugin starts up, it will generate a config.yml file usually. And what that file you will have is a bunch of settings that you can use for your plugin, such as messages, true or false values, just any type of setting that you would have for your plugin that can be configured by the server owner. So it's just a file for your plugin that you can use as a server owner to customize your plugin and make it do cool things, okay? So let me show you now how you can get your plugin to have a config.yml. So the first thing that we want to do is open up the resources folder and just right click and do new, file, config.yml. And a YML file is a special type of format for a text file that does things a little differently. It's just a way of writing your text in the file that conforms to a certain format. And it's really nice for configuration files specifically, and that's why we're using it, okay? But the way that you do it is a little weird to get used to if you've never worked with it before, but it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it, okay? So let me just give you an example of something that you might see within a config.yml file. So we can do something like join-message, and then we could do a message, and usually messages are surrounded by single quotes. I think a double quotes might work as well, but I just use single quotes out of a habit, okay? So we could say something like, welcome to the server. And so this message would be stored within the config.yml. It can be configured by the server owner who wants to configure their plugin. And then inside the plugin code, it'll grab this message dynamically and then use it for whatever it's using it for, okay? So this is just one example of a string value being set within a YML file. There's other types of things you can do like counts. You can set like a number, so 1, 2, 3. Numbers are not going to be surrounded by quotes. That makes sense, right? Because it's not a string. So 1, 2, 3, you can use decimals numbers, of course. Pretty self-explanatory. You can also do true or false values like explode. You could say false, so that's a Boolean, right? What else can you do? You can also do a list, so you can do something like let's just say favorite foods. And the convention is usually when you have multiple words within a config file value, you just set it to have dashes in between the words, okay, instead of like spaces. So we're going to do favorite foods, then we're going to press enter, and you can see that's indented here. So now we can do dash, press enter, and put a bunch of values here. So this can be string values, it can be number values, whatever you want. I think they all have to conform to the same type though, so I think it all has to be strings or all numbers. I don't remember exactly, but I could be wrong about that, but generally speaking, that's what you're going to see anyway. So we could say favorite foods is like, let's say pizza, grapes. I don't really like grapes, but I do love cheesecake, so I'm going to put cheesecake. So there we go, those are our made up favorite foods, and that's just a list, okay? You can also leave comments if you want to, so you can say potato land is magical, something random like that. Besides list, you can also have some structure to your config file, so you can say like, you can have different sections is what they're called, so you can say something like join mechanics, and you can have different sections, and you can just keep indenting. You can have a value here. You can say toes, you can say true, stuff like that. And then if you want to add a whole nother section alongside this one, because this one's indented as you can see, you would just do this and have it on the same indentation line, okay? So these are different sections. It just depends on the indentation, so you just have to keep track of that. But luckily IntelliJ is really helpful, and it gives you like a little indicator showing you the lines. If not, it's a simple option you just have to enable, but you can also just eyeball it as well, okay? But generally speaking, these are just the basics here, just these basic different data types and how to specify them within the YML file. And now I want to show you guys how you can, in the code, access those values as well as set those values, okay? I could go, of course, into more detail on how to use YML files, like how to format them or whatnot, but I did just give you the basics, and throughout this entire series, I'll be showing you more complex ways of dealing with YML files, so don't worry about that. Also, there's plenty of documentation online, okay? Alright, so let me tell you what we're going to do for this plugin just as an example. We're going to make this plugin a plugin that basically whenever you join, it tells you a join message, right? So that's why I did join message here. So whenever you join the server, it'll say, welcome back to the server, Cody, and then comma, good to have you back, or something like that, right? So let's go ahead and get rid of these here. We're going to say welcome back to the server, and then we want to make it say our name. So how do we do that? So we're just going to use a placeholder. We're going to make up a format so we can do something like player. That's like a typical placeholder format, just surrounded by % signs. You can do whatever symbol you want though. You could do something like this even. It really is up to you. But that's a common format. So welcome back to the server, and then your name, and then we could say good to have you back. Okay, and we can even color it if you want to. So we can do @A, that will make it green, and then we could do @C to make that red, and then we can make the rest of it green again. We can even do &L for bold. I kept saying @ but I mean and. So green, red, bold, and then green again. So it'll reset it back to green. Perfect. Okay, so we're going to see how that looks in a minute. So now what we're going to do is figure out how to actually grab this. Okay, so let's go to make a new listener here. We're going to call it the join listener. Implements listener from bucket. So now we need to grab the value. So grab the config value message thingy. So the way you access the config is through the main plugin class, okay? So inside the main plugin class, you can do get config. That's just a value available to this class. So we need to make it so that this class is available in this class. And I do have a video on that. If you look earlier in the series, I don't know the number of it, but it's called passing the instance. And there's many different ways you can do that. But if you have a good understanding of Java, this is a pretty simple procedure. So all we got to do is go back to our join listener here, and we're going to do private final configs, the name of our plugin class, and we're going to call it this plugin, and then we're going to add a constructor, and whenever this class now is instantiated, we're going to pass in an instance of our main plugin class so that we can have it set. So then we can go down here, so this dot plugin, and we can call all those methods available to that main plugin class, like get config, for example. So there we go. But let's go back here now, and what we want to do is register our listener. So we want to do get server dot get plugin manager dot register events new join listener, and inside of here it's asking, this is the constructor, right? We're instantiating a new join listener. It's asking for an instance of configs. So because we're inside that class currently, all we have to do is just this. There we go. Cool. And then after this, you just need to pass this again, like always. That's something you always have to do. So here we can access the value now, okay? So if you just look at the type by doing Control Q, you can see that get config returns a file configuration. And if we look at the Java docs, for some reason they're not popping up, or you can press dot, you can see all the methods that are available to that class, okay? So if you just type get, you can see all the ones we need. So we have get boolean for getting a boolean, get color for getting a color. That's interesting. I think that's pretty new, maybe. Get configuration section, so you can get entire sections of the config. That's a more advanced task, I would say. You can get a double list, a float list. You can do get long, get int, all those basic ones, right? So the one that we have currently, though, is just a string value. So a string value attached to the name join message. So we just want to do get string, because we know it's a string that we're trying to grab, and then just pass in the name of the, I guess, the path you can call it. So this is just going to be join-message. So now hopefully if we configured everything correctly and we put the right name and all that, it should be able to grab that message and then put it into a string. There we go. If for some reason that it's not able to grab this value because we specified the wrong name or it doesn't exist or something like that, this will return null. It says it's nullable. So what we have to do is before we use this variable here, to avoid a null exception, we can do if join message is not equal to null. And then after that, we know it's not null, so we can do e.getPlayer.sendMessage join message. And that will send the message. So first we're grabbing the config value, and then we're checking to see if it's not null, meaning we actually grabbed it successfully, and then we're sending it. But of course, this was a colored message. We have color codes in here. So to make it colored, we can simply do chatColor.translate alternate color codes and then join message, okay? So e.getPlayer.sendMessage, take the message, translate the colors within it, and then put it inside that method to send the message to the player. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Now, one more thing we need to do before we test this out is actually save the config. So we're going to do save default config. And all this will do is simply take the config that we have defined here in the resources folder, for example, and just save it within the actual server folder. So what I mean by that is if we go and compile this, and now I moved it into the plugins folder here, so we can see that our jar is here. So now that we did save default config, what this will do is when we start the server up, it should generate a folder for our plugin and then put the config.yml that we have specified into that folder, okay? So let me go ahead and show you what I mean. So we're going to go ahead and go back here, start the server. That's going to take a second. All right, and now you can see that a configs folder was generated. Perfect. So that's how you know it worked. And inside that, you can see a config.yml file. Awesome. So let's go ahead and open up, see what we have. And now we can see that we have join-message. Awesome. So we see, welcome back to the server, player, good to have you back. So now anyone who owns the server, whoever installs the plugin within their server and then loads it up like I did, they can, open this file, they can change the value, and it'll automatically apply. And I'll show you that in a second. But first, let's go ahead and join the server and see if it works. So it should send us a message as soon as we join, and boom, there we go. We get welcome back to the server, %sign player, %sign good to have you back. Perfect, it's working awesomely, except for it did not replace this placeholder here with our name, which makes sense because we didn't actually do anything to replace it, all right? So before we do that though, I want to show you guys how to actually, what happens if you change it. So if we change it, so it says, instead of good to have you back, it says, I hate you. Go ahead and do Control S to save that file. Now if we go ahead and reload the server, reload confirm, it should go ahead and pick up that change value for us. We can go ahead and rejoin now, and it says, welcome back to the server, I hate you. So because we changed the value, the file's obviously changed now, but when we reload, it automatically restarts our plugin, so our plugin will grab the new values and then use that whenever it's running the listener, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. So that's the basics of how you can create a config.yml for your plugin, and then give it a config option, and then load it on the server and actually get it, grabbed in the plugin code and used and all that fun stuff. So pretty cool. Let me go ahead and show you how to actually replace this placeholder though real quick. So we'll go back to our listener here. We'll go to here. And before we send the message, we want to go ahead and take this and do join message is equal to join message dot replace. And we want to replace the %sign player, %sign placeholder that we have with the actual player name. So e.getPlayer. Get display name. There we go. So now we can just pass in join message again. We didn't have to get rid of it, but there we go. So before we're sending it, we're just replacing that placeholder with the player name. So that should be good to go, but let me show you first how you can grab some other values from the config if you want to. So let's say that we have another option within this config.yml that we want to have for the server owners called something like feed players. And we'll say true or false, meaning that if they join the server, it'll feed them automatically, and if it's false, it won't feed them automatically, okay? So it's something that the server owner can toggle, all right? So feed dash players, and now we want to grab that, so we'll do boolean feed players is equal to this dot plugin dot get config dot get boolean feed dash players. Perfect. And because this is a primitive value, it's a boolean, it's not going to be, nullable on the return value, so you can use it with confidence. So you can say if feed players is true, then go ahead and do e.getPlayer.set food level 20. 20 is the max, okay? So that's pretty simple. It's just like the string one, except that you're specifying boolean because it's a boolean. So there's pretty much a method for any data type that you would want to grab, all right? So again, another more complex one is a list. So we can do like list of foods, and we can say dash pizza, grape, and then orange. Orange. So let's try and figure out how we can grab these list values within our code. So it's actually pretty easy, just like the other ones. So we can do this dot plugin dot get config dot get string list. So that's why I told you before that it's likely that all the values in the list need to be the same value, or data type rather, because there's specific methods for each list type. So we can do get string list, get boolean list, etc. Okay. So get string list, we can say, and the name of the list is foods. So this will hopefully grab the foods list. And if we do Control Q to check the return type, we can see that it's not null, meaning that it's always going to give you a list, and the list won't be null. So it's going to be a list of strings. Perfect. So we can go ahead and store that. So list string foods. So we can have some fun with this. I'm going to go ahead and paste this. I just did this earlier. I don't want to retype all that. But basically, this will just take the foods that it grabbed from the config, if there are any. If there's nothing, it'll just be an empty list, of course. And then it's just going to say your favorite foods are, and that's going to print each food line by line, basically. And you'll see that in a second when we test it out. Okay, so now we have three values within or three options within our config.yml, and now our code should be able to grab all of those without issue, okay? So let's go ahead and recompile and put it back into our plugins folder. Replace the old one, I mean. All right, I've replaced the old one. So now what I want to do is go to configs and open this up, and we can see that's the same one, right? And if we go and reload the server, it's still going to be the same one. And that's just because that's how it works, okay? So what we want to do is just delete it, and that will regenerate it with all the new values, okay? So let's go ahead and start it up again. Okay, the server started, so if we go back to our plugins folder, go into configs, we can now see that it has all the new values. Perfect. So it's able to regenerate it and give you all the new stuff. And so now if we go back to the server, if we join, we should get the message again. So it says, welcome back to the server, Illuminati, and it has our name. Awesome. And it says your favorite foods are pizza, grape, and orange. Perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. So there we go. There's some more stuff on how to grab values from a config.yml that you generated for your plugin, okay? Now what we want to do is see how to set values in our config.yml, right? Because it's already very useful that we can grab values from it, and then you could, as the server owner, change the values, manually by going into the file and just, changing them and then reloading the server. But it would be really cool if there's a more dynamic way of setting it in the code. So for example, if we have a command like set join message, we can specify the join message and it will replace the current one with the join message that you just specified. That would be really cool if we could figure that out. So let's go ahead and see if we can do that, okay? So we're going to go back to our code here. We're going to make a new command. We're going to call it set message command. I'm just going to replace some of these values here. So command sender is just going to be sender, and then this is going to be args, okay? All right, so the first thing we want to do is make sure they're actually giving us a new message to set. So we're going to do if args.length is greater than 0, then we want to grab the message that they provided. So string message is equal to args 0 for the first one, right? Otherwise, if they did not give us an argument, we want to say sender.sendMessage, you must provide a new message. Okay, so now we need to access the config like we did in this other class here. So we just need to do the same thing that we did there here. So we need to access the main plugin instance, right? So here's our constructor, and we're going to pass in the main class instance into this to set it. And then now we can do this .plugin.getConfig like we have before. But this time, instead of using get, we can now use set. So we can say set. We're going to specify the path. So in this case, it's just going to be join dash message. And then now we want to set the value for it, okay? So this can be pretty much any value that you can grab as well. So that should set the message. And then once we do that, though, we cannot forget we need to save the config file. So this.plugin.saveconfig. All right, so what this should do is go ahead and grab the value that they specified in the command. This should replace the old one with the new one, and then calling save config should actually save it in the actual file, okay? So now let's go ahead and register our command. So we'll do get command .set message .set executor new set message command, and then now it's asking for the plugin instance, so we'll just pass in this. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and register it here now. So commands set message description sets the join message for the server. So now let's go ahead and compile this, put it into our plugins folder, and see what happens, see if it works. Oh, we made a little mistake here. So because you're going to provide multiple words in the message, grabbing the first argument will only grab the first word of the message. So we want to make it so that we can grab multiple words. So to that, we're going to do string builder message is equal to new string builder. And then we want to do something like for int I is equal to 0, I is less than args.length, I++. So that's just going to loop through each of the arguments, right? And then for each argument, we want to do message.append. So this will take the current argument and just append it to our message. And then once we're done, we can now convert that string builder into an actual string by doing toString. There we go. So don't forget to do that. So again, this will just take every argument that you provide and combine them into one string. We do want to separate them by a space, though. We can't forget that. So they're not all jumbled together, okay? So let's go ahead and try this again. So we'll do set message, I am a potato. And nothing is said here because we didn't give it a confirmation message whenever we coded this, but there's no exceptions in the console, looks like, so that's great. So let's go ahead and rejoin now and see if it says the message. There we go, it says I am a potato, perfect. So we can change this to customize it even more. We can say and B and L, you look like a fried toe. Okay, so now if we rejoin, it should say you look like a fried toe. Awesome, perfect. And if we go in and check the config.yml, hopefully the value should be updated. And there we go, it says you look like a fried toe. And that's because we did save config. You can't forget that, all right? Never forget that. Awesome, so that's how you can set values for a config.yml file. Pretty cool, right? Hopefully that was That made sense for you guys. But that's pretty much it for this video. That's how you can create a config.yml for your plugin. That's how you can access the values within the config.yml file. That's how you can set values within the config.yml file. There's still a lot more to learn about them just because they are a little complex. You can make them a little more complex. But again, as we go throughout the series, you'll learn a lot more, okay? So don't worry about that. In another video in the series, you'll see another video on how to do custom config files. So besides the main config.yml, you can have other files that serve as configuration files for your plugin as well. So we'll get to that as well, okay? So hopefully you guys learned a lot in this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Alright, so that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. In the description below, I'll leave a link to the code for this episode so you can check it out. You can bookmark it, come back to it later. If you forget any concepts or you just want to review the concepts I taught in this video, I'll mark everything up with comments so you can come back and read the code without having to rewatch the video, although your reviews are greatly appreciated. So yeah, I'll leave a link for that in the description below, so make sure to check it out. And another thing is I'll leave a link to our Discord server. It's a big community for programmers. You can ask for help on your programming projects if you're stuck on something, or maybe you can get some new friends. If you don't have any friends, there's lots of people here. It's growing really fast. You can find lots of people who are passionate about the same things as you. For example, if you like Minecraft Spigot development, you can find lots of people who like that. If you like C++, if you like Java, if you like web development, it's a really, really big programming community. So feel free to join. There's a link for that in the description below. And the last thing I want to tell you is that if you want to support this channel, you can click the join button below this video, and you can join this channel as a member for as low as 99 cents a month, and you can cancel at any time. You get some cool perks like early access to all of my new videos, a cool rank on my Discord server like you see right here on the side, YouTube members, and also you get to see yourself on the screen like you see right now. So if that sounds cool to you, feel free to join. If you don't want to, that's fine. If you can't, that's okay too. I really just appreciate you watching the video anyway. And thank you. Thanks a lot. And that's it. So if you like this video, leave a like. If you want to see more, subscribe. And peace.